All right, and so by being sick, what does that mean?
Female problems.
Yeah.
And so she...
We tried, Cap and Glory tried to get the doctor to tell us what she died from, and he wouldn't. They even threatened to go to court. At that time, they didn't have to disclose their problem.
I don't think they really do, because before they were going to operate on her, Dr. Fillmore came down with the flu. And Grandma didn't want Dr. Kent. So she was waiting for Dr. Fillmore to come back in, and that's when she died. And they put on the death certificate that it was kidney failure.
So when you said grandma, are you talking about Grandma Naegle?
No, when I
Nicoll.
say grandma,
Okay.
I say because I talk to my kids that way.
I understand.
Your mother. My mother.
Because Grandma Naegle was still...
Yes, she was
Alive.
still alive. Yeah. And, now what was I going to say?
I thought it was kidney failure.
Yeah. Then Nick's grandmother passed away, and before she passed away, she had every symptom that Mother had. Phyllis said that she had the same odor, the same condition, everything. And she had her tests done. So when she went in the hospital, they took tests on her. They said that she was full of cancer. So we figure that that's what Mother...
Well, I
Did
think,
she have diabetes?
No.
I
Or she
think
didn't, she doesn't, we don't know that
Well,
she had it.
back then they didn't know too much about diabetes.
No, they didn't.
But I think she also had a heart condition, because when she would laugh, she would just about lose her breath. Remember that?
Yeah. Yes.
She,
She
Well, my
could
dad
catch her
does
breath.
that.
What?
My dad does that.
Well,
I've got a heart condition.
and he's got a heart
Bob,
condition.
you put Bob Newhart on.
I've never heard that. I mean, at the time I didn't know that, but since then, I've heard that people with a heart condition, sometimes they get to laughing and they cause a rhythm in their heart and in their lungs,
To change, huh?
and they lose their breath and they gasp. And whenever she would laugh, she would
If you
start
listen
gasping.
to all of us boys, we take a deep, I just noticed Kevin did it. He takes a deep breath, and my dad does that a lot. And it's a,
Well, Kevin's the exact image of your dad, and whatever he does, he's like that.
so Kevin had brought up, where do we get some of our characteristics? Some of our
Get them
traits
from
and-
his dad.
And, you know, is this one of the traits that Grandma had that, you know,
No,
Dad has
she
now?
doesn't.
And
She had,
I don't
she
recall her
gasped.
taking a deep breath. It was just when she laughed so hard.
She just,
And Kenneth could get her laughing. And he'd keep, the trouble with Kenneth though is he would keep her laughing. You know, he wouldn't just tell her one joke, he'd just keep going and it would just get worse and worse.
So describe her personality.
well, she was kind, and she was,
Yeah.
She spoiled me.
she
She
spoiled
was
John.
good about sending the kids away when they wanted to talk about something that was none of our business.
I don't remember
She
her
fed
ever,
the homeless, but she made them work first.
I don't even remember losing her cool, and if she should have lost her cool, it should have been with me, as ornery as I was. And I don't remember her ever losing her cool. She'd tell me,
She worried about you.
I know it, but she'd tell me.
She worried about the
"You
neighbors too because of you. She asked Mr. Monrad if you kept him awake at night when you come home whistling. He says no. He says, but you want to worry about him when he doesn't whistle. When he comes home quiet.
Yeah, I can remember that. No, she'd tell me, you're gonna get yourself in bad trouble some of these times. Or one of these days, not some of these times. But I wasn't in the habit of staying out kind of late.
I want to talk about when she was at the hospital a bit more, but when we're talking about her personality, we know a little bit about Grandma, we know a little bit about Grandpa. How did they spend their time together when they were together?
They weren't.
They weren't.
Dad went off to work.
You guys got lived through a depression. You go down and look for some work, nothing today. Pretty soon that wears out. You just give up. You're just wasting your time. Well, that's the kind of times we were going through. And if you didn't have some, I remember Dad got a job up at Williams, and it was through old Sidney P. Osborne, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Governor Sidney P. The only way he got the job.
WPA is all I remember.
Well, he was WPA, but he was on a road job up at Williams, and he had to go politics to get him. That's all. Unless you guys go through a depression, you think this recession's tough. When we hit depression, put the D on it, then you're in trouble. Because you come home at night, you didn't know whether you were going to have anything to eat. We were lucky we had a cow and some chickens. That was
In a garden.
in a garden. And that was about it.
Mother did a lot of canning,
Yeah,
and if it weren't for the neighbors, we wouldn't have had anything.
that's right.
Well, my
Mr.
If
Mon-
it wasn't for Aunt
Yeah.
Jenny,
And
Yeah,
Jenny,
and
we
Aunt
wouldn't
Jenny,
have survived. She came over every Saturday with bags of food.
Yeah. But
What was
Mr.
that
Mr. Monrad had olive trees,
Fig trees.
and
No,
that
Dates.
was,
Hastings.
no, that wasn't Hastings.
Railsback.
Railsback.
Railback.
But Mr. Monrad he'd get tired of the olives falling out there in his yard, and he'd come over and tell Mom to get the boys out and get the olives. So they'd get all the sheets and tarps that they could come up with, and then, I don't know, one of you'd get up in the tree and shake all the
Yeah.
olives out,
I remember
and Mom would can the olives. And then Mrs. Railsback would come down and tell Mom that she could have all the figs that hung over the
Bush?
the hedge. And half the tree was in the hedge, so we got half the tree. And she'd make fig preserves, and she would dry the figs. And she would,
I remember I used to have to go down and pick figs for Elmer
Yeah.
Hastings, and he would give us
Yeah.
honey. And
Yeah.
half of the figs,
yeah, we got honey from
Elmer Hastings.
Elmer, and you guys would make a fruit picker by getting a big long stick
With a tin can.
with a tin can with a little V notched out of it. And you go up there and you get everything out of the top of the trees. And I don't know how they got out to the orchards with the grapes, but Mom would can a lot of grapes.
And Jenny would come over.
Oh,
Well, Aunt Jenny did a lot of the olives with Mom.
oh, she did a lot. Yeah.
She made a lot of raisins. She
would take some of them too.
she would put up a lot of raisins with grapes.
Yeah.
I know Aunt Jenny was very outgoing. Did she spend more time with Ethel than maybe other family?
Well, all the rest of the
Well,
family was
all
up St.
Of
John's.
St. John.
So they spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
Well, Saturdays,
Well,
Don and I would hitchhike to Phoenix every Saturday morning, mow their yard.